Okay. Uh, okay. When I think about the baptism of the Holy Spirit, I think of Acts chapter 1. Uh, Acts chapter 1 and 2. Uh, I think they give us the clearest picture of what it actually means. Um, in Acts chapter 1, Jesus tells his followers to stay in Jerusalem, wait for what wait for what God had promised them. He tells them that they are going to be baptized with the Holy Spirit. Now, when the Holy Spirit comes upon them, they will receive power. Then in Acts chapter 2, we see that promise fulfilled at Pentecost. The believers are gathered together. The Holy Spirit fills them, and they begin speaking in other tongues, as the Spirit gives them this ability. And Oral Roberts talks about this in the Holy Spirit in the Now, specifically in chapter 6. And what stood out to me was the order in which everything happened. They weren't able to speak in tongues. They weren't able to do miracles until they were filled with the Holy Spirit. So they were filled with the Holy Spirit, and then they began speaking in tongues. Roberts explains that the prayer language comes from being filled with the Spirit. And I think one of the biggest benefits of Spirit baptism is that the power that Jesus talks about in Acts 1. For me, that means being empowered to actually live out my faith, to know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, to have the confidence and the courage to actually live out my faith. And in that respect, Peter is probably one of the best examples of this. Before Pentecost, Peter was afraid enough that he denied even knowing Jesus. He denied him thrice. After Pentecost, you see that exact same Peter boldly preaching about him. He's still Peter, but there's clearly something different about him. Voigt's chapter 4, I think I'm saying his name right, helped me think about that change in another way. He talks about the fruit of the Spirit, things like patience, peace, love, gentleness, joy, goodness, faith, self-control, and meekness. He explains that these qualities develop as we grow in our relationship with Christ. And I think that is important because when we talk about the Holy Spirit, it's easy to immediately think about the miracles, the spectacular supernatural experiences, those mountaintop highs, but sometimes the evidence of the Spirit working in us is much more ordinary. It can be having patience with somebody who gets on your nerves, controlling yourself when you get angry, your blood gets a little heated, or choosing to help someone when it would be easier to keep going. Voigt, still hope I'm saying that right, also talks about spiritual gifts and that how the Holy Spirit works through believers in different ways. And the way I understood it is the fruit of the Spirit is about what the Holy Spirit is developing in us, while gifts are the ways he can work through us to help other people. And that brings me back to prayer language. In chapter 6, Roberts describes speaking in tongues as the prayer language of the Spirit. He connects this with 1 Corinthians chapter 14, where Paul talks about praying with the Spirit and also praying with understanding. And Roberts explains it as a person's spirit communicating with God, even when their mind does not understand what it is that's being said. So you find sometimes you need to pray. You might not know what you need to pray about. You might not know exactly why you need to pray, but you do know you need to pray. You might not even fully understand what you yourself are feeling. And the way Roberts explained that is prayer language gives us a way to communicate with God when our own understanding or our own words fall short. And as far as my own experiences with the Holy Spirit, mine has honestly been pretty mundane compared to what we read about at the Pentecost and all these grand stories I hear other people talk about, all these other testimonies. For me, it's usually been a lot quieter. Sometimes it's just that gut feeling that I have to help this person, I have to help somebody. And ironically, and usually it happens when helping them is the most inconvenient. It's raining, and I know I need to get this person a jacket because. So I got to go find a Walmart, park, get a jacket, drive back and give it to them, or just even give it a coffee or, similar stuff like that. Other times it's been more like a warning. Yeah, warning is a good word. That gut feeling or that reminder that you have something to do. Like I had times when I was planning to go somewhere and take a drive, and I felt strongly I should stay at home, because I remember I had something I had to do, or just suddenly, don't feel like going. Later, I find out that there's been a multiple car pileup on the exact freeway I would use, and I was like, wow, would I have been there? And yeah, you look at the time, I would have been at that place at that time and been involved in it. Well, yeah, I can't say that every gut feeling comes from the Holy Spirit. Sometimes a feeling's just a feeling. Sometimes it's just bad sushi that you got from a gas station. Poor choice, I know. But there have been moments where I have looked back and wondered if God was trying to get my attention. And I think that's probably the biggest thing I've taken away from studying this. Acts itself shows us that the Holy Spirit can work in powerful and obvious and miraculous ways, but Voigt's discussion of the fruits of the Spirit brings to light and reminds us that His work could show up in everyday, mundane life. And for me, learning about the Holy Spirit is also learning to pay attention. Sometimes I might be a push to help somebody when I would much rather keep going and just doing what I was doing, because we all live busy lives. And sometimes I'd be a warning to stop, to slow down, to look back. And sometimes it might simply be seeing that God is slowly changing the way I think and respond and treat people around me.